Hey guys, it's Hunter. Welcome back to another video. This is the Revv G20. I could get into the specs of this thing, but by now you've probably seen at least one other YouTuber cover this amp. I'm definitely one of the later ones to the party, but anyways, I'll get more into why this little guy is easily one of the most hype products for metal players in 2020 in a second. But first, the demo track. Let's take a closer look. Okay, if you want the one sentence review, the G20, it slaps. But if you want more in-depth analysis, watch on. There's also timestamps in the description if you just want to skip to tones. Now, Revv, they're a pretty exciting company. They've been like the underdog making big moves since 2014. Like at the NAMM shows, they're everywhere for good reason. The Generator 100P is very high on my personal dream amp wish list. The purple channel is insane, it's aggressive, and at the same time, super tight. That amp, being a boutique 100-watt monster, is also quite pricey, not to mention completely unnecessary for most applications. So Revv has been moving into Lunchbox territory. Last year, the big new product was the D20, and while Revv's flagship products have always been the crushing high-gain heads, that was a pure, true, clean pedal platform, which was unexpected, but very cool. So Derek from Revv asked me if I wanted to demo it, and I was like, nah, where's the dirty channel? But for 2020, they've come out with this thing. It's got a clean channel, but the main focus is that it's a generator with a smaller footprint, and with built-in 2-notes integration for onboard virtual cabin mic placement or custom impulse responses. That is so f***ing cool. And it's also quite a few selling points in one long run-on sentence. So before we dive into tones, let me just talk about the unit itself. As much as I love the 100+ watt monsters because of the massive amounts of low end you get with the big ass power tubes, plus they just look super cool to have as part of the YouTube set, they are basically entirely impractical. They're so loud, they take up so much power, and they're not exactly the most portable things on the planet. Like, sure bro, let's jam, let me just throw my dual rec in the backpack and I'll see you in 20. This thing, by contrast, it's smaller than a toaster oven, and it's like less than 10 pounds. All metal construction with a little handle on the top. In Glenn's unboxing, his came with a little carry bag for extra portability. This one that I have is a demo unit that's been around. Didn't come with one, but when they're available in stores, I assume that's what they'll come in. Logo lights up purple, which looks very cool, and there's plenty of ventilation so it doesn't get too hot. The thing with Lunchbox heads in 2020, they're not just smaller, more affordable versions of their larger brothers anymore. This has all the convenience features you'd expect from a modern Lunchbox head. Variable wattage, so you can use the full 20 watts for extra volume and headroom, 4 watts if you want lower volume or quicker breakup, and a headphone jack for a completely silent practice. There's a built-in load box, so you don't even need a speaker load connected to run the G20 without damaging the amp. In fact, while there is a switch on the back to toggle the load on or off, it should automatically kick in whenever it detects that there's no speaker connected. That way, you don't accidentally blow it up. Like I may or may not have so nearly done many times with my 6505 when I forget to turn on my Torpedo Live first, for example. And if you do decide to run a cab, it's got enough power to do that as well with the option of 4 or 8 ohms. Effects loop, so you can use the 4 cable method to run your modulation effects in before the power section. But of course, where the G20 goes above and beyond is with the embedded torpedo. Embedded torpedo, I'm sure there's an innuendo in there somewhere. Now, I use the 2 Notes Torpedo Live for everything. It's basically what even made this channel possible in the first place. You may already know what it does, and if not, you've definitely seen it. Essentially, it's an amazing piece of hardware that provides a physical resistive load and uses software to emulate the audio effects of a speaker cabinet, essentially replacing the need for a real cab. It means you don't have to make space for a 412. It means no getting evicted for excessive noise violations. It means consistency in recordings, right? You don't have to mic up the cab each time. It's basically set and forget, and the sound goes directly into Logic, or for live situations, directly into the mixer. For people like me that live in a fairly populated apartment building, the Torpedo Live is literally a godsend. MIDI compatible, so if you've got a MIDI controller, you can use that to program in and access all your custom presets on the fly. I don't have a MIDI controller to use like that, but if I did, I could. And all that functionality is built directly into the G20. So the tones that you just heard in the demo track, that was the guitar into the G20 into my Focusrite interface. That's it. Well, actually I used the precision drive after the guitar out of personal preference, but yeah, that's it. Essentially, that means that this is kind of like a virtual combo amp with basically unlimited options. It comes with a number of stock cabs and mics that you can mess with by plugging into the computer and using the Wall of Sound plugin. Save 7 of your favorite presets to the amp to use on the fly. And if you get bored of any of those, there's the 2 Notes store where you can purchase more. They're all based on classic favorites and are generally pretty affordable, like $8 each or something. Or you can load your own custom IRs in there if you've purchased them from anywhere else. So for the demo track, I was actually using a blend of 2 different IRs from Glenn Fricker's Lancaster pack. Through modern magic, I was playing this amp as if it was going through both a Mesa 4x12 and an ENGL 4x12 at the same time, something that would undoubtedly get me evicted if I did in real life. And it was super easy to dial in as well, which seems to be a theme with Revv amps in general. So I could go on forever about how cool and exciting this is, but I'm just gonna shut up now and just run a few guitars through this thing. Specs and settings and all that will be on the screen, so yeah, here we go. I love tube amps, I really do. Like a lot of modern VSTs or amp modeling software, not gonna lie, they sound really good for recordings, but in the room, nothing beats a real tube amp for me. I've heard other people talk about the warmth or natural harmonic complexity or the natural breakup or insert your typical Valve bingo buzzwords here. I don't know about all that, honestly. All I know is that to me, they sound better. They sound more inspiring, they sound more alive. That's why to me, especially for writing and trying to come up with cool riffs, I prefer Valve amps, even though they're far less convenient than a solid state or software solution. And as I said at the beginning, the G20 slaps. So is this a good budget solution? Nah, not really. It's like $1,200. While it's not cheap, it falls into what I like to call attainable territory. It's not Learjet pricing. And I would argue that it's reasonably priced for what you're getting. If you start to break down and itemize everything, it makes a lot of sense. The 2 Notes integration is massive. A standalone 2 Notes Torpedo Live, which again, I consider an invaluable tool, is $800 by itself. And that gives you near infinite expandability on this thing through software. Like beyond the cabs, if you're really looking to change up the tone, you can use virtual power sections as well. I didn't really find the need to, which is why I didn't cover it, but you can. Then on top of all that, you're getting all the hardware convenience features of a modern Lunchbox head, variable wattage depending on what the situation calls for, a headphone jack for completely silent practice since it's got a built-in reactive load, direct recording output, it's only 9-ish pounds so it's super portable, and most importantly though, it's got the generator sound that make Revv amps so desirable in the first place. The gain channel is tight, it's aggressive, it's a kick-ass sound coming from a little head, and the clean channel is very decent as well. Great tone, great execution, such a cool amp. So if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor and hit the like button. These are of course just my opinions. I'd love to know what you think, so let me know in the comments. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't already, that way you don't miss any new uploads. Thanks to Revv for sending the amp for review, and to Luke for mixing everything. Social media, merch, Discord, and Patreon links are in the description as always. Thanks so much for watching. You've been awesome, and I'll see you for the next video.